What's up, everyone, and welcome to NFL Nexus. So, you have a young quarterback who just comes in and completely sets the league on fire. What's your number one job? It's simple: protect the asset. But what happens when that asset gets a little banged up? Well, if you're the Houston Texans, you don't just, patch a few holes here and there. Nope, you rebuild the entire fortress. In today's explainer, we are diving deep into the Houston Texans' absolutely massive offseason gamble. This is an all-in strategy, and it's built squarely on the shoulders of their phenomenal quarterback, CJ Stroud. We're going to break down all the risks, the rewards, and what this high-stakes bet really means for their Super Bowl dreams.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the main problem, what we're calling the Stroud conundrum. Then, we'll look at the Texans' incredibly bold response as they go all in, pushing all the chips in. After that, we'll look at the exact moves they made while building the fortress, hear what the players are actually saying in the player perspective, and finally, we'll get into the big debate. Has all of this truly opened up a Super Bowl window? All right, so let's set the stage here. The Houston Texans were, they were the Cinderella story of last season, right? CJ Stroud comes in and has one of the greatest rookie quarterback seasons in NFL history. It was unbelievable. But as exciting as that playoff run was, a pretty troubling pattern started to show itself. The face of their franchise was taking way too many hits, and just beneath the surface of all that success, a really serious issue was brewing. The foundation was starting to show some serious cracks.
Now, I want you to pay really close attention to that wording: slightly fractured. Think about that. That's not just a description of an injury he had. It's a deep assessment of a vulnerability. Stroud didn't just miss a couple of games with a concussion. It was the accumulation of hits he took all season long that had a real impact. And the front office saw this, not as some short-term problem, but as a long-term threat to their most important player. So the mission wasn't just about adding talent. It was about restoration. It was literally about putting their franchise cornerstone back together.
And this really gets to the heart of it. This decision wasn't born from some, complex analytical model. It was just plain old organizational common sense. In today's NFL, having an elite quarterback on a cheap rookie contract is like finding a cheat code for a video game. It opens up this 4 to 5 year window where you have incredible financial flexibility to build a super team around him. Letting that asset get beat up over and over again because of an underperforming offensive line, that's not just a bad strategy, it's basically organizational malpractice. The Texans knew this was their weakness, and every single move they made from that point on was viewed through one single lens: protect number 7 at all costs.
So with the problem staring them right in the face, how did the Texans front office respond? Did they play it safe, maybe draft a developmental lineman in the 3rd round and just hope for the best? No way. They saw their championship window cracking open, and they decided to just kick the door down with a massive, high-stakes bet on the here and now. Let's really unpack this phrase, because it's so important. Pushing their chips in isn't just about spending a bunch of money. It is a fundamental shift in strategy. It means you are consciously, deliberately sacrificing future flexibility. We're talking salary cap space, draft picks, for the chance to win right now. You only do that when you believe you're holding a truly special, franchise-altering hand. And for the Texans, CJ Stroud is that royal flush. This isn't a slow rebuild anymore. This is a crystal clear signal that the goal is to win big and to do it immediately.
And if you want to know the why behind this massive gamble, you don't have to look any further than this quote from GM Nick Caserio. It's so simple, but man, it speaks volumes. It's an unwavering public declaration of faith. He's admitting, hey, bad games or bad plays might happen, but that core belief in Stroud is absolutely unshakable. That simple phrase, I'm glad he's our quarterback, well, that's the philosophical foundation for every big contract and every aggressive trade they made. It's the kind of confidence that starts at the top and empowers the entire organization.
Okay, so we've established the why: protect Stroud while he's on that rookie contract, and the how: go all in with every resource you have. Now, let's get into the fun part, the specifics. Let's look at the actual bricks and mortar the Texans used to construct this fortress around their franchise quarterback. And these weren't just random signings. These were calculated, deliberate moves designed to solve a very specific problem. The Texans' shopping list this offseason was crystal clear. They needed proven, established veterans. No projects, no maybes. They needed immediate day-one solutions. So they go out and they trade for Wyatt Teller, a former all-pro guard from the Browns, to be an absolute mauler on the interior. They signed Braden Smith at tackle, another established vet who knows exactly how to handle elite pass rushers. And to create a more balanced offense that takes some of the pressure off Stroud, they bring in a tough between-the-tackles runner in David Montgomery. Each guy is a very specific piece to a much larger puzzle.
And hey, if the players they brought in alone don't convince you of their strategy, just follow the money. A 2-year deal worth over $16 million for an interior guard like Wyatt Teller, that is a significant investment. In the NFL's financial food chain, guards are not usually the guys getting the biggest bags. So to commit this kind of capital shows you exactly where their priorities are. This isn't just a roster move, it's a direct, multi-million-dollar investment in the health and performance of CJ Stroud. This contract basically screams, we will pay whatever it takes to keep our quarterback upright.
But look, building the fortress isn't just about the 5 big guys up front. It's also about the voice in the quarterback's helmet. And this is where the Texans are making another really calculated bet. Not on a new player, but on continuity. Instead of hitting the reset button after some of offensive coordinator Nick Caley's first-year struggles, they're doubling down. They're betting that a shared second year in the same system is going to be the key to unlocking this offense's full potential and really growing that critical relationship between the play caller and the quarterback.
And you know what? This isn't just wishful thinking coming from the front office. Just listen to their veteran tight end, Dalton Schultz. He's confirming that this belief in a second-year leap is very, very real inside that locker room. Players know that year one in any new offense is all about learning the basics, the terminology, the timing, the fundamentals. But year two? That's when you achieve mastery. That's when you can start adding those crucial extra wrinkles that can turn a good offense into an absolutely unstoppable one. Hey, before we get to how the players are reacting to all this, just a real quick pause. If you're enjoying this deep dive, a fantastic way to help support the channel is by checking out our new coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, and honestly, even for adults who just want to unwind with some cool sports-themed art. You can find them through the link in the description or by just scanning the QR code on your screen right now. We really do appreciate the support. Okay, so the front office has a plan, but what's the actual vibe inside the building? So the front office has done its job. They've executed their plan, they've spent the money, they've brought in the veterans. But what do the players themselves actually think about all this? How does it feel to walk into this new situation down in Houston? Let's shift our focus from the blueprint to the human element. Because the reaction from one of their key new additions, well, it speaks volumes about the culture they're building.
And this is always the ultimate test, isn't it? A GM can assemble what looks like a perfect roster on paper, but if the players in that locker room don't buy in, if they don't feel that energy, then it's all just a theory. So what's the verdict from someone who just walked in the door? Someone who can offer a fresh, unbiased perspective on what's really happening in Houston. Wow. Just read that again. When CJ Stroud is healthy, I don't know many teams that can beat the Houston Texans. That is an incredibly bold statement to make. And remember, this isn't some homer who's been with the team for years. This is Wyatt Teller, a guy who just got here, a former All-Pro who has played on other winning teams. His statement tells you 2 things right away. First, the immense league-wide respect Stroud already has. And second, Teller sees his own job as being the guy who guarantees that healthy part of the equation. And this slide right here shows you exactly why he feels that way. I mean, look at the stark contrast. His time in Cleveland was defined by instability, tough years, constant quarterback unrest, a lot of growing pains. Now compare that with what he's found in Houston, a breath of fresh air, an extremely talented roster, and most importantly, a great culture that's being built by Coach DeMeco Ryans. For a veteran player, this is everything you could possibly want. He's literally moved from chaos to clarity, and you can tell that change in environment is completely invigorating for him. So we've seen the problem, we've seen the strategy, we've seen the execution, and we've seen the player buy-in. Now it's time to connect all these dots. Because let's be real, these moves weren't made just to win a few more games or sneak into the playoffs. They were made with one ultimate, ambitious goal in mind. When you lay it all out like this, you can see the clear, logical master plan the Texans followed. Step 1, they identified the core problem. They had to protect a fractured CJ Stroud. Step 2, they formulated a bold, all-in strategy to take full advantage of his rookie contract. Step 3, they executed that plan flawlessly, getting the exact veteran pieces they needed. And now they're entering Step 4, reaping the rewards. And what are those rewards? Sky-high confidence inside the building and championship-level expectations outside of it. And this right here, this is the championship equation. This is why all the Super Bowl talk isn't just type. A lot of people forget, before any of these big off-season moves, the Texans already had what you could call an imperious defense, an absolutely elite unit that can just suffocate opposing teams. The defense was already championship caliber.
The great unknown was the offense, and specifically its ability to protect its quarterback. By building this fortress, the Texans believe they have solved their one glaring weakness, creating a complete, balanced roster that has no obvious holes. And so this is the question we have to end with. When you push all your chips to the middle of the table, the entire game changes. The Texans are no longer that fun, surprising underdog team. They have willingly painted a massive target on their own backs. With all the money spent, all the veterans acquired, and all the confidence in the world, have they created a championship or bust scenario for themselves? That is the question that is going to define their entire season.
So what's your take? Are the Texans making a brilliant move here to capitalize on Stroud's incredible talent? Or is this a super risky gamble that puts way too much pressure on a young team? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please do us a huge favor and hit that like button. It really does help the channel, and make sure you subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives just like this one. Thanks for watching.